Alright, in this example we're going to take a look at this first problem here. We're given the endpoints of a segment and we're supposed to find the coordinates of the midpoint. So as a reminder here, a midpoint divides a segment into two equal parts. Now you may also think of like a segment bisector does the same thing, and technically right, a midpoint is like a kind of segment bisector in a sense. A segment bisector technically intersects a segment at its midpoint. And the midpoint's the halfway point, but I do want to stress this divided into two equal parts thing because that's a pretty big deal. That comes up a lot. Two equal parts. All right, so we're going to find that midpoint using the midpoint formula. Midpoint formula. And the midpoint, we're going to call it, it's x sub m, y sub m. So the midpoint has an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So here's how we find the x coordinate. We go x sub m equals x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2. And to find the y coordinate, it's y sub m equals y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. And the little sub thing, all that is, this is just the x coordinate for your one endpoint. This is the x coordinate for the other endpoint. You add them together, you divide by 2, it gives you the x coordinate for the midpoint. Over here, you take the y coordinate for the first endpoint and the y coordinate for the second endpoint. You add them together, you divide by 2, you get the y coordinate for the midpoint. Also, just to point this out, if you're traveling along a segment, the midpoint is on the coordinate plane. The midpoint is halfway over, halfway up. All right, so let's look at this particular problem here. And we'll find that midpoint. So let's do the x coordinate first. So we have x sub m equals, let's look, we have 1 and 4. 1 plus 4 over 2. And it doesn't really matter which one I call point 1 and which one I call point 2. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're adding them together in the end. So if I put 1 plus 4, or if I switched around and put 4 plus 1, I get the same thing either way. So let's see. So we have 1 plus 4 is 5 over 2, or you could write 2.5 if you wanted. Now for the y coordinate, y sub m, see we have negative 3 and we have 2. So we'll go negative 3 plus 2 over 2. So negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1 over 2. Or we could write negative 0.5. I can't ran out of screen space there. Negative 0.5. So our midpoint in the end, m, is 2.5 comma negative 0.5. And I could have also used the fractions, 5 halves and negative 1/2 would have been the same thing. In many cases I actually kind of prefer the fractions, but alright, there you go.